We are live on NTN, coming to you from the Information Command Center at the GIS studios. This is the morning update live on NTN. As I said, I would like to welcome you. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jessie Leonce. Today is a Tuesday, the 11th of May 2021. If you're joining us on air online, a special good morning to you. For residents in St. Lucia, St. Lucians in the diaspora, and well-wishers globally, we'd like to thank you so much for tuning in to ensure that you keep abreast with what's happening here on island. And now, time now for the latest developments coming out of the government of St. Lucia. Chief among them at this point is the latest COVID-19 cases to report. Also, the Prime Minister joins the quarantine count, returning from a business trip. So we will tell you some more information on that in just a moment. We have the St. Lucia Sports Academy launching an island-wide recruitment drive. We also have the Minister for Home Affairs and National Security, Senator the Honourable Herman Gil Francis. He is deepening talks on border patrol with the French government. And we reinforce word coming from not only the Ministry of Health, but also the Command Center. We have Chair of the Command Center, Honorable Dominic Fede, speaking in the Honorable House last week, giving us an update more specifically in terms of how the epidemic has directly impacted frontliners. He's given us some figures and also reinforcing the point that has been made in the Honorable House last week for the extension of the state of emergency. We will also hear again from the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, that we ought to not let our guard down. COVID-19 continues to it remains a threat here on island, and despite the strides that have been made with respect to the vaccination program, we still have a large number of the population at risk. So stay tuned for these updates and more coming up directly after this break.
Hi, I'm Jim Joseph, President of the Boseju Community Group. We believe St. Lucia can win the war against the coronavirus, and here's how. Every community in St. Lucia must mobilize, coordinate, monitor and support residents the way we would before, during and after a natural disaster. Identify volunteers in your community, assign them roles and deploy them. Ensure your elderly and vulnerable understand all protocols. Help relatives, shield them from unnecessary contact with others. Identify those recently unemployed and vulnerable neighbors living alone. Put systems in place to filter updates from official sources throughout your community. Promote the hotline number 311. If it takes a village to raise a child, then all of us can come together to defend the village against the coronavirus. Let's do it.
Together let us win this war. St. Lucia be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
So much for staying with us. This is the morning update live on NTN. If you're just joining us, a special good morning to you. Prime Minister Honorable Alan Chasney has returned from a business trip. He just traveled to the United States from May 5th to May 8th. He returned over the weekend for several meetings, including key engagements with cruise industry officials in Miami, Florida. As St. Lucia and the region prepare for the reopening of the cruise sector, anticipated in July of this year, Prime Minister Chasney, who co-chairs the Committee for the Caribbean and the Americas, has been playing a lead role in CARICOM on this issue. The Prime Minister's discussions with Cruise Line also centered on St. Lucia's southern cruise port development. In the Prime Minister's absence, we have the Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Physical Planning, Natural Resources and Cooperatives, Honorable Ezekiel Joseph, serving as acting Prime Minister. And at this time, since the Prime Minister has returned, he has returned to quarantine. So he will, just like the rest of everybody else coming through St. Lucia's ports, will spend his time in quarantine in keeping with the COVID-19 protocols. I think we have on schedule, hopefully, an engagement with the Prime Minister during his time in quarantine, but we will keep you updated on that. We continue this morning with updates coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. 19 new cases of COVID-19 to report in the last 24 hours. So we received confirmation of the 19 new cases out of a sample of 200 244 out of 244 samples taken during the period May 6th, 2021. Sorry about that. I haven't had my coffee as yet for the morning. These samples were processed on May 8th, 2021 and May 9th. These individuals were seen at the various community respiratory clinics where they were assessed and tested for COVID-19. Asked to remain in isolation as usual upon confirmation of the positive test. These individuals were specifically, arrangements were made for them to be placed into isolation, and as well contact tracing is now underway for these positive cases. Confirmation was also received of the recovery of 17 individuals, bringing the total number of active cases in country to date to 149. I know the Ministry of Health is hoping that it can come down back to the double digits that we enjoyed just a week ago. Presently, 2 of the active cases are requiring critical care at the respiratory hospital. The new cases bring the total number of cases diagnosed in country to date to 4,690. Now, as of May 8th, the word we're getting from the Ministry of Health is that some 25,248 individuals have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, that is the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and the number of individuals receiving their second dose is at 13,581. Today, Tuesday, if you want to get vaccinated, that is today, Tuesday, May 11th, 2021, you can go to these various locations at the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, Philip Marsley Grounds, and the Jack Mel Wellness Center. Please take note of these locations. If you have some time, you've made up your mind, you want to get vaccinated. If you want to go get vaccinated, get your second dose, you can go as well. Just make sure you carry along with you the vaccination card that you received the first time you got your the first dose you got for the first dose you received. If you want to go to get vaccinated tomorrow, Wednesday, the 12th of May, you can go to the Dennery Mothers Preschool and also the Sufre Hospital grounds. And you could also get vaccinated at the VG Sports Complex as well. Yesterday we had people showing up in their numbers to get vaccinated at the VG Sports Complex. So tomorrow they will be back there accommodating individuals, facilitating the administration of vaccines. So please take note of these updates. Again, you are encouraged by the Ministry of Health to get vaccinated as soon as possible. The vaccination drive is catering right now to the general population for the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccines, as well as those getting the second dose. As I mentioned, the Ministry of Health encourages all to get vaccinated to protect themselves, family, loved ones, and others from the COVID-19 virus. And you know, I don't say it often because I think many people should know by now. Meanwhile, while we continue to wait out, you know, the progress, the full progress and the full length of the vaccination program, we have to continue to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Just last week, the extension of the state of emergency was approved in Parliament, and meantime, COVID-19 protocols remain in effect. The hope is that we can continue to adhere to these protocols and also the basic infection prevention recommendations of the Ministry of Health so that we can continue to protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. Just looking at the first doses being administered, some 20,000, we still have a long way to go before we attain herd immunity here on Ireland. We continue with our updates this morning with a look back. As I mentioned, the state of emergency just now. Last week in the Honourable House, in the House of Assembly more specifically, we had the parliamentary representative for ancillary canneries, also Minister for Tourism, and also the chair of the command center in response to COVID-19, speaking and endorsing the state of emergency extension. And he did speak specifically to the state of frontliners as it pertains to the direct impact that the epidemic has had on them. You usually think of just persons in general being impacted by COVID-19, the figures, the daily numbers that we get in terms of the positive cases, but we've had quite a few frontliners being impacted and having to be treated themselves at the hospital, being isolated, receiving treatment, and so on. And he added to his argument this point that the state of emergency, the COVID-19 protocols are in place to protect those who are protecting us as well. So take a look at this first clip coming from Honourable Fede.
The efforts here today is not to take away their liberties, is not to take away their rights, but it just really is, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that we have the legal framework that we can act promptly and swiftly, because these are not normal times. We are just one house party away from a national outbreak. All it takes, Mr. Speaker, is for in the workplace, one person going to work with COVID, a drop in the protocols, and we could have a national spike again.
Okay, and now coming to the clip of the minister speaking on the number of individuals who've been impacted by this pandemic, the frontliners, that is.
Frontliners are also being affected. And so when your frontliners are being affected, Mr. Speaker, you have to take the extra precaution to make sure that the people whom you're asking to protect the population are also at risk. About 128 frontliners have been affected to date with COVID-19. They include nurses and doctors and other medical practitioners, including pharmacists and health personnel, Mr. Speaker.
And the minister also addressed concerns about the variants here in St. Lucia of COVID-19. And he did speak to the British variants in terms of the numbers of the positive cases coming back as having that variant of COVID-19, assuring the general population that there haven't been many incidents of the British variant. Take a look.
We've seen very little numbers in terms of the people that have come through with the British variant. So it means, Mr. Speaker, that we've done a very good job in protecting the rest of our population from people that are coming in from the UK, whether they are tourists or returning nationals, because, Mr. Speaker, to date, we have only been able to verify with CARFA and the Ezra Long Lab that there have been some 15 of those case individuals that we have seen to date and recorded to date. So, Mr. Speaker, we haven't seen a widespread issue with the British variant.
That was the chair of the command center in response to COVID-19. They're giving us an update on the number of frontliners that have been directly impacted, contracting COVID-19 themselves, and also speaking on the British variant being contained to a certain degree, to a point where much of the population has not been exposed to this British variant. We're going to take another break this morning. When we come back, we have some more updates coming from the Ministry of Health, as well as the St. Lucia Sports Academy. They have launched an island-wide recruitment drive to continue on the successes that they have so far experienced very early on in its lifespan. Take a look. Stay tuned, sorry.
Do you know we can limit the spread of the COVID-19 virus? The Ministry of Health is your partner in achieving this solution. Introducing the Amber Wristwatch. The Amber Wristwatch is designed for monitoring daily movements while in quarantine. It provides an accurate location and a precise heart rate. The device is also waterproof and can be worn during all daily functions, like washing the dishes or taking a shower. It's worn like a typical timepiece. The Ministry of Health can now better monitor people in home quarantine and receive alerts of those who do not stay in the confines of their home. A 14-day rental of the Amber Wristwatch is just $75 US. Let us stop the breaches of home quarantine.
Thank you for staying tuned. This is the Morning Update live on NTN. If you want to get vaccinated today, you want to get vaccinated against COVID-19 with the Oxford AstraZeneca, you can go to the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds today, the Philip Marsley Grounds, or the Jackmel Wellness Center. So if you're in those areas, you can go get vaccinated. Ensure that you carry with you your identification, any form of identification, as well as a light snack and some water to keep you refreshed while you wait. If you're going for your second jab, not your first, your second, ensure that you bring the vaccination card that they gave you when you went the first time so that they can tick you off as fully vaccinated against COVID-19. So please take note of that. If you have time tomorrow, May 12th, that's Wednesday, you can get vaccinated at the Denry Mothers Preschool, the Sufra Hospital grounds, and also the VG Sports Complex. The number stands at 25,248 individuals here in St. Lucia so far received their first dose, and 13,581 individuals have received their second dose. That is fully vaxxed against COVID-19. We continue with our updates this morning with word from the St. Lucia Sports Academy. They've launched their national recruitment drive. They're pressing ahead with plans for the new academic year with the aim of surpassing their success rate so far. Opened in 2019, the Sports Academy offers students the opportunity to build their skill levels in sports in addition to academics. Over the past few weeks, the Academy has been on a recruitment drive, visiting primary schools in Castries, Grosselet, Canaries, Ancillary, Soufriere, Vieux-Fort, Micoud, and Babonneau. We have our very own Herma Demac with the details in this report. Take a look.
The St. Lucia Sports Academy has commenced the recruitment drive across St. Lucia for the academic year 2021-2022. The recruitment initiative takes interested students out onto playing fields, COVID-19 protocols observed, where their skill level is tested in the areas of football, cricket, and track and field. The intention is to motivate as many students as possible into making the St. Lucia Sports Academy their choice ahead of sitting the common entrance exams. Victor Cornabut, coach at the St. Lucia Sports Academy, says the recruitment drive has been successful.
The aim is to at least get at least 3 students in at least every primary school spread across the island so that they could comprise our Form 1 cohort for 2021-2022. So at this moment we are in Soufriere, and we have seen quite a bit of talent in Soufriere in all 3 areas, and we are quite pleased with the cooperation of all PE teachers so far in all primary schools.
Principal of the St. Lucia Sports Academy, Delia Alcindor-Charles, described the recruitment drive as very encouraging.
It has been a very enjoyable experience. From what I see, the students are very enthusiastic, and we're hoping from that experience today as well as what will come in the future, because the coaches still have to go out to the other districts. So far they've been to District 1, they've visited schools like Dame Paulette, Babonneau, Balata, they've been to Millet, they've been to Micoud, Vieux-Fort, and today the stop is in Soufriere. So we're hoping from this exercise that we can attract as many students as possible.
Minister for Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert, says the overall intention is that the St. Lucia Sports Academy becomes the school of choice for students seeking to enhance their sporting career. The recruitment drive, she says, will also create more awareness about the school. The drive continues during the week of May 10th, 2021. From the Government Information Service, I'm Herma Demac.
Thank you, Herma. We continue with other developments. The government of St. Lucia continues to explore the avenues available with the government of France for assisting in the patrolling of St. Lucia's borders and building the capacity of marine police. Take a look.
St. Lucia and the French Antilles have further strengthened bilateral relations. This was signified by an official visit made by the Minister for Home Affairs, Justice and National Security to the French Navy vessel La Resolue, which is based in French Guiana. Minister for National Security, Senator Herman Gill Francis, explained that talks on the diplomatic framework between St. Lucia and the French Antilles have been ongoing and are focused on seeking assistance in patrolling St. Lucia's borders. The minister, impressed with the vessel, indicated that the collaboration will also aid in bolstering the capacity and skills of the Marine Police, especially with the Border Control Unit soon to come on stream.
These vessels are going to be in our area, and the job is to do the interception of narcotics and firearms, also to be able to respond to any emergencies similar to what we had in St. Vincent So that is the function and they call it. They are based in French Guiana, but they're now in our waters for the next few weeks. Today marks the last day they're here, and they'll be traveling tomorrow. But they have promised that they are going to come back, and the coordination and cooperation with St. Lucia and Martinique is going to be intensified and strengthened. It is a fact that based on the number of coves that we have in surrounding the island of St. Lucia, it's sometimes difficult for the Marine unit to be everywhere. And to get the assistance from the French is huge. It's an immense assistance. And so we are about moving into border control, where the Marine unit is going to be taken away from the police and be joined with the customs and the quarantine department of the Ministry of Agriculture. When that happens, you will see a rapid increase in personnel at the Marine unit and equipment. So we will be getting some additional boats and so on. So again, the coordination with the French is going to be extremely important so that we can get our officers trained in being able to detect and how to maneuver to board vessels and those on without any loss of life, whether it be a police officer or somebody that you're chasing. Ultimately, the goal is that we need to do these exercises without any loss of life.
The government of St. Lucia has been exploring workable solutions to combat illicit activities in and around the island's borders. The government has reached out to diplomatic allies for support in beefing up the Marine unit's fleet, and Senator Honorable Francis is confident that these efforts will soon bear fruit.
We have an MOU with the French in Martinique as to assisting us in doing the patrols of our borders. That has been ongoing. But this morning, again, I spoke to the French ambassador here, and he was telling me that the admiral in Martinique is working very hard on a treaty that we are supposed to sign. And as soon as he has completed, he will be sending it to St. Lucia so we can read through, and we will be signing that treaty. So I think it was a very fruitful visit this morning, and I want to thank the French authorities for allowing me to visit them.
The vessel visited St. Lucia from Wednesday 5th May to Saturday 8th May 2021 at Port Castries, and Senator Honorable Hermangill Francis paid an official visit to the vessel on Friday, May 7, 2021. From the Government Information Service, I am Janelle Norville.
Thank you, Janelle. This is the Morning Update live on NTN. Stay with us. We have more updates after this break.
It's here, the BioIntelliSense Bio Button, an innovation to the Ministry of Health's approach in battling COVID-19. The Bio Button is a state-of-the-art device. It supports people keeping regular checks of signs of possible COVID-19 infection while placed in home quarantine. It monitors temperature, heart rate, and respiratory rate. It is very simple. Just link it to your smartphone and place the button on your chest. It's that easy. The Bio Button costs only $100 US for the 14-day period. For further information, please contact the Epidemiology Unit at 468-5325 or 468-5324.
St. Lucia has achieved another significant step in the management of environmental impacts under the Replast OECS project. The 2-year pilot project is focused on plastic recycling through plastic waste collection. Replast OECS is now collaborating with the hotel accommodation sector to assist in the handling of plastic waste. Here's Lucia Joseph with a report.
4 hotel resorts will soon lead off the collection of plastics for recycling in St. Lucia under the Replast OECS pilot plastic recycling project. The Replast OECS model is designed to operate plastic collection at 3 levels: households via community collection points, schools, and hotels. Recently, senior executives of Standards Resorts, Bay Gardens Resorts, Harbor Club, and Hotel Chocolat met with Replast OECS to advance plans for the partnership. John Brett is the managing director at Hotel Chocolat.
We're delighted to be pioneer members of the Replast Hotel scheme in St. Lucia. Very important to us as a business, both in St. Lucia and globally. Globally, our business has a planet pledge and a plastic pledge, and with the launch of our 7-acre visitor attraction, Project Chocolat, we were delighted to be asked, and it ties in precisely with what we are trying to do and what we feel the visitors to St. Lucia are increasingly conscious of, which is their footprint on the planet and what they can do to lessen the impact, and what we can do as a business trading in St. Lucia to create a future legacy for all.
In addition to the project's fit with Bay Gardens Resort operational policies, Bay Gardens is also seeking to lead by example to promote environmental stewardship among its employees and the general public. Lodra Morel Willie is the Human Resource Manager at Bay Gardens Resorts.
Our partnership is two ways actually. First, we will be having our bins on property so that our guests and our employees can participate in recycling the plastics. So we are also partnering with Replast by being a rewards partner. So if you, as a family member, as an individual, you provide the plastics, you recycle your plastics, you will be rewarded with points and you can redeem some really fantastic items.
With environmental benchmarks being important metrics for brand reputation and confidence, Managing Director of Sanders Resort St. Lucia, Winston Anderson, noted that Replast OECS presents the hotel sector with a timely opportunity. In 2019, Sanders was the only hotel chain in the world with 6 resorts to hold master's level certification and another 6 with platinum certification with EarthCheck, the world's leading scientific benchmarking certification and advisory group for travel and tourism.
And as we know, achieving EarthCheck master certificate is a confirmation that resorts consistently measure their benchmark on their environmental friendly performance. I say to you and I say to my colleagues here today that I don't believe we have any choice but to ensure that together we achieve the goal set for this project, to develop and implement a working plastic waste collection and processing system for recycling purposes. I think this is long overdue, and it is timely. And the importance of it, I would say today, cannot be overstated.
The rollout of the hotel collection is an important implementation milestone met for the project, which will complete its pilot phase in July 2021. Shanta King is a project director.
We're very excited today to have met with the hoteliers who are participating in the Replast collection. It's very commendable that we've had a very, very good response from the hotel community. However, with COVID, we've had some delays in actually starting up. So far we have some key properties on board, and we are hoping that other properties will come on board, especially as they reopen over the next couple of months. So we are looking forward to this new set of collection with the project.
Replast OECS is being implemented by development consulting firm Unite Caribbean. The project is poised to enter a second phase, having met key objectives, which include the design and activation of an electronic rewards program with close to 1,000 registered participants who have to date received over 5 million reward points, 4 community collection points established, 26,000 pounds of plastic exported, and hotel collection soon to commence. From the Government Information Service, Lisa Joseph reporting.
Thank you, Lisa, for that report. And the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmont George, has issued a warning to the general public after the Ministry of Health on Friday, 7th May 2021, recorded the highest daily increase in COVID-19 cases for the last 12 weeks. 47 new cases were confirmed by the Ezra Long Laboratory. The majority of the cases, that is 63%, are from the southwestern belt of the island. Dr. Belmont George says the necessary public health systems are being strengthened to manage the situation. And this is coming off of, the government of St. Lucia having to petition Parliament for an extension in the state of emergency, bearing in mind with the argument that the situation with COVID-19 still remains very fluid. The average of 100 cases per week was surpassed last week, and hopefully persons take that into consideration, looking at these 47 cases, this fluctuation of the 47 cases registered last week on the 7th, and consider that we are still very much at risk of falling into, God forbid, another wave of the coronavirus. Take a look at this clip from Dr. Belmar George. We did air it in a previous broadcast, but for the benefit of those who have yet to see it, please take a listen and please take note.
The Ministry of Health reminds the public that we are still in a vulnerable position based on the high risk of the introduction of COVID-19 and the variants of concern from the developed countries and neighboring Martinique, and transmission in country due to poor compliance to protocols. We continue to advise the public to remain vigilant, adhere to the protocols that are put in place to keep us safe. These include regular hand washing, the use of face masks in public places, covering the nose, mouth and chin, avoiding crowded areas and persons with respiratory symptoms, and also keeping frequently touched surfaces clean. We are privileged to have access to vaccines in the COVID-19 fight. Vaccination remains one of the most effective public health measures in managing infectious diseases. The AstraZeneca vaccine has been proven to be safe and effective in protecting people from developing COVID-19, its severe forms, complications, hospitalizations, and death. We continue to urge the public to access the various vaccination sites to get immunized at the soonest. The vaccine is available free of charge to the public at many venues on a daily basis.
Sharon Belmar George there, continuing to urge all St. Lucians to not only heed the COVID-19 protocols, but also take the COVID-19 vaccine. We are due for our final break this morning. When we come back, we wrap up for the morning.
Sanitizer, better yet use soap and water.
We must protect each other if we are to beat this corona. Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. Be a soldier, together we can beat this corona.
So you don't become the next case. Avoid touching your face. I'm sure you've been told so. Handshakes and hugging around, no, no.
Advice give you the please. Cover your mouth and your nose if you cough or sneeze.
Practice social distancing and avoid large social gatherings.
Together let us win this war. Be a soldier for St. Lucia. Together let us win this war. St. Lucia, be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
For further information, please contact the hotline at 311 or the Bureau of Health Education at 468-5349.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Our final segment for the morning, we'd like to thank you so much for watching. For those of you around the world in St. Lucia and the diaspora watching on for how St. Lucia performs, continues to do and fare in this COVID-19 pandemic. We've heard this morning so far from the Honorable Dominic Thede, Chair of the Command Center in Response to COVID-19, speaking more specifically on the frontliners situation. And generally we hear of 20 cases here, 20 cases there on a daily basis, but we don't think about the specific individuals, who are being affected. And among that lot, we have frontliners being impacted directly. And part of his argument in the Honorable House last week for the continuation, the extension of the state of emergency up until October 16th is that in terms of COVID-19 being fluid and us needing to react in a quick manner, is also that our frontliners, our essential workers, are being impacted directly, not only just putting their lives at risk, but they have been contracting COVID-19. And so his point was that we need to protect those who are protecting us. So we need to put all measures in place, or stop measures in place where need be to protect these individuals more specifically as well. He also provided an update on the British variant, indicating that it has not been quite extensive, it has not spread significantly in our population, an indication of the successful management of COVID-19 so far here on island in terms of who is coming through our ports, the quarantine period, and individuals coming into the population after this time frame. So good work, kudos on the part of the essential workers, those who are on the front line, continuing to respond to COVID-19 and continuing to play a major, significant role in response to this virus. He also reinforced, of course, the state of emergency. And we hope that everybody continues to play their part, because the full extent of the state of emergency, the powers that are afforded to the government of St. Lucia under the state of emergency, don't have to be activated if we all play our part, if we all do what we have to as per the COVID-19 protocols and the basic, we've said it over and over, the basic infection prevention recommendations of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So if we all play our part, we don't really have to feel the full hand of the law on us in having to manage COVID-19. Also this morning we had the St. Lucia Sports Academy launching their national recruitment drive. If you are a parent, a guardian, you see potential in your child from the primary school up, you can identify that they have this skill, this talent, this raw talent in sports. You can contact the St. Lucia Sports Academy. You can also contact the Ministry of Education to explore, to find out what offering the Academy has and how it can benefit your child as they begin to develop. We also had this morning, in terms of our updates, Honorable Herman Francis deepening talks on the border patrol with the French government. We know that the borders and building capacity of the Marine Police is a priority of the government of St. Lucia, and they continue to explore these options, the avenues that are available with the government of France. We know that to our north is Martinique, and there's definitely been cause for concern with respect to protecting our borders and ensuring that there isn't any illicit activity going on in those waters. And the CMO warning that COVID-19 remains a public health threat. We saw last week 47 cases. It almost came out of nowhere, but we have the authorities who continue to be aware that these things can happen. And of course, they've put measures in place to be able to respond effectively to that. But we need to take note of this situation. Yes, we have the COVID-19 vaccination drive ongoing. Many persons going to get vaccinated, but we still need to take care. We need to protect our family. Our families, our friends, those our loved ones, those in the office that work with us, if we're back at work in the physical setting, we need to protect all of these people by playing our part, adhering to the protocols and adhering to the word and the advice on a weekly basis that's coming out of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. We do hope that you continue to stay tuned to NTN for more programming, because throughout the course of the day we bring you the latest developments coming out of the government of St. Lucia. And it's very critical, because at this time we continue to contend with COVID-19, and we're on the brink, we're almost there, you know, having to deal with the hurricane season. So hopefully we can hear from Nemo to find out what plans are in place in terms of dealing with the two at the same time. We had a similar experience last year, but hopefully we could get a refresher from them to find out what their intentions are in terms of responding to both crises should we have to deal with that. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. Do keep safe. Enjoy the rest of your day and go out with a positive attitude. Find someone to compliment. Find something to appreciate in the day, nature, the kindness of another person. But just go out with a positive outlook. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.